Happy Saturday, Dean. Good morning to you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Rob. Good morning and happy Saturday to you too. I've had my coffee. Mine's finished. Hopefully we'll get through this conversation before I have to.
Exactly. So I heard today you said you want to talk about how data works on your website, how data ties into your local SEO,
Right.
and everything around the schema or Schema side of things. Can you tell me kind of what you're hearing from members and what they're kind of asking on that so I can better explain it?
Okay, so what I'm getting, a lot of people are when I'm talking on the customer success side with our platform, on some of the things, they're hearing the word schema, they're hearing the word NAP or name, address, phone number, which is the acronym for NAP. They're hearing all these different things. They want to know how important is schema to their website in affecting their search results on voice search and internet searches, local searches, if you will, local SEO searches. And can they do it themselves to fix it, or do they need to use their, they're kind of saying that they're talking to their web development people. They want to understand so they can have a good conversation of what they're after. So I know that's kind of a lot of information, but the big thing is they hear it, they want to understand it better, and they want to know if they can do it themselves or if they're going to have to hire somebody to do it, basically. So let's kind of, I know that's a lot of things that goes on there, but I need to be able to talk to them in a lay term. But let's talk technically what it is, if you don't mind, first, so people can understand the technical side of it. And then let's talk a little bit more on a conversational level of how we would talk, to help everybody understand that. So I'm going to let you, because this is your field of expertise. So
I would start off, Dean, and I would say that schema is very simple, but yet it is simple that you can overcomplicate it, or a lot of web developers have no idea what it is. And I went to a conference for web developers in the last year, and I was at that event, and it was one of those things to where half of people, I would say probably 50 to 60% of the web developers, and most of them were single location, they're smaller development firms. They had no idea.
Like a one-person shop kind of thing that doesn't really have a team.
One to three. They might have a graphic designer. They might be a graphic designer. But most of them had no idea what schema even was. And the basic way to be able to talk about that is schema is nothing but structured data. So I talk a lot inside of my videos. I talk a lot when I'm talking to members about how we take data and turn it into advertising.
Right.
And one of the ways that we do that, if we're doing the website, and we offer that as a plan, but if we're doing it, we're taking that data and we're turning it into advertising. We take it to that next level when they have the website with us. But any web developer could do it. Technically, anybody who has any WordPress knowledge, or if their back end has it. I think Wix might have a couple things that are in there for their SEO tools. Some of those SEO tools start on touching basics of it. What we really like to do is we like to be able to put it at the very top of the website. We have a special code that we use. If anybody's on the pro membership with us and they're getting coaching, they can ask that, and I'll provide that script over to them for their website. Then they can provide it to their web developer. But that script is basically going to tell that search engine or that algorithm, and that could be ChatGPT as an AI coming in. It could be Gemini as an AI. It could be voice search. It could be any of those things. It tells that search engine that this is the business information. Here's our business hours and certain data points about it. So I think that makes a big deal there. So yes, anybody could do it. Yes, you can provide it to your developer. You don't have to have us hired to do it. But what you need to know about it is that's the information that scrapes it off. So there's other spots you can have it on your website. So for example, if you have frequently asked questions or certain comment blocks, there's a whole entire schema that can be set up there. So inside a WordPress side, Rank Math, all the SEO tools. So Rank Math Pro is what I prefer out of all of them, but almost all of the SEO tools are going to be able to help you be able to do that structured data on your website. And they make it simple. Not all of them provide the code that I put at the very top of the sites that really help get people to rank. But that's my general conversation based on that, of how I would explain it. So what questions do you have off of that?
So is there a starting point that you should? I mean, I know that it's a process to get it all done, to get all this stuff to scrape. Is there a starting point where you should say start at this point and then start building from there? Because especially if some of the people that have done their own websites through Wix or whatever, what would you recommend to them first, or how it, because I know that we turn it over our development team and they would go in and they just do it all at one time, but a lot of our members, they're trying, like all small businesses, we got to worry about our budgets, and they may not be able to afford, an expensive development team to help them. So if you said first step is to do this, what would be the first step in NAP, and then kind of just build from there? I said NAP. Schema.
The first step in the schema is doing whatever your software that you develop your website in, using its SEO plugin. Hopefully it's doing its job. The next step I would recommend, if you have either hired a web developer and they don't know what schema is, or they can't tell you that they have that structured code in there, if you're on the pro plan, have us create that and so you can insert it in. But
so what you're saying is it's actually back end code that really helps. It's not really something you're seeing on the front end of the website.
You don't see it at all,
because that's what I think a lot of people are thinking is, oh, my address is on here, my phone number is on here, I have a page for all these services. But if you don't have the code to direct the search engines to that area, is what you're saying then. So that's what the script is all about, is to tell the search engines, the AI, the algorithms, whatever they're looking, this is what's in my site, basically. So it's not something you see based on what you see visually.
No.
Okay. I think that's what people think
about it as a map. Okay. So when that algorithm, when that computer comes to your website and it's not a human and it's looking through your website, you're mapping out and saying, this is what this is. Now, a lot of them are very smart. So like Google's bot knows that it's an address, but is it the right address? Does it really know? Because you're trusting that. So instead of having it trust that it knows that since you put this this body of text down here that has your address on it, you don't know if they scraped it off, if they recognized it as an address. You don't know if it's there. If you do it inside of that script, you do it from the back end or use whatever plugin for SEO that has it. If it has it inside of there, it will tell that search engine or tell that algorithm when it hits that site, it tells it this is an address, this is a phone number, here, this is the business hours, this is the company name, this is a frequently asked question, this is a review. If you go to schema.org, you can look up all kinds of them. There's thousands upon thousands of schema languages. And some people have done a lot of custom ones. We have a ton of custom ones we do and we've used for years. I started playing the schema back in the 90s, and I've been dealing with it. Wasn't even called schema back then. Think about it back in the day. So if you want to go back in the day, remember when we used to put the meta keywords back in the 90s?
Oh yeah, we used to be able to go to the backside and you do this big list of names,
keyword, comma, keyword, comma, keyword, comma, and you just go on and on and on, and you just rank. Things were a lot simpler back then. Well, this is the same thing, except for it's on the backside. It doesn't really function with it. It doesn't even need the front end side unless there's content there. So if you have a review there, you'd be telling the search engine, this is a review. And it knows, hey, look, a review. Yay. So, I mean, it's that information. So that's how all the different AIs are scraping information probably.
Gotcha. So it's probably pretty important now for local SEO to have schema on your website, right? So we
saw a couple things during the pandemic, and you and I got to witness this. When we started Simply Be Found 4 years ago, at the very beginning, I said that websites are going to die. This is what's going to happen. That was my prediction, and I was wrong. Because what happened is AI came out, and AI kind of rechanged all that, and everything did this huge shift to where now it needs that structured data, because your business depends on that structured data, and being able to take your business's data and turn it into advertising more now than it did even 4 years ago.
So it comes back to, in addition to that, content within your website is more important than ever now too. Is that
content on your website? The content on your website, everything comes down to content, authority, and then trust. So you got the three pillars. I don't care if we're talking about your website and traditional SEO, versus local SEO, which I hear from a lot of members that, hey, I hired this company to do SEO, but they're not doing the local SEO side. So, I mean, I see that part a lot too. And they're probably doing some of the schema stuff on there because if they actually did your on-page SEO, it's probably done
Right.
to a point. It probably doesn't have the code I'm talking about for the top. That's that magical code that really does, I think, does a major trick. But they're probably doing a lot of that stuff, but they're not focusing on that local SEO side. And that's where this whole thing gets really kind of confusing, because your website's important for local SEO. You want to focus on it. Most SEO companies are focused on a broad area, and they don't know how to drive the traffic into the website. And that's why they go to Google AdWords. That's why they do all the pay-per-click stuff.
Gotcha. Now, the other question that I got asked about the schema side of it is, do more pages make it better for content, or is just one page better? I mean, I know we're talking structure of website. I know I shifted just a little bit, but in the schema side of it,
schema doesn't matter.
Schema doesn't matter. So
Nope.
The number of pages doesn't matter.
Nope.
It's the information that's on the website to understand it. But the full circle on that, and I tell people, I said, okay, you've done your website and everything. You need to make sure that your Google profile is in place, right? Your Apple profile is in place, right? If you're using our system, our platform, of course, we do that for you. We put all that information out there. But if you're not using our platform, and because we try to share the information freely, they have to go in and make sure their Bing profile's right. Their even though I'm not a big fan of Yelp, they got to make sure their Yelp profile's right. They have to do all those things manually. They have to go to each and every one of them to make sure that it agrees with their website piece for proper schema to happen. Is that a true statement or not?
That's a true statement. Everything's connected. It's a great big giant web. It's kind of like Bing pulls data from Google. I think if I was to look at it, in my opinion, Google pulls information from Facebook. Alexa pulls it from Bing. It pulls it from Facebook. It pulls it from Google, and it pulls it from your website. There's all these things, and they all connect together. So I mean, it's all that. Now, if you really want to get a really good thing, I put this out a long time ago, but I'll put it out there again. If you want us to go through your website, you want us to look and see if the schema is there, you want us to look at the design, you want us to do all that, I always do those 100% for free. You just have to ask.
Right, gotcha. But the thing is, though, is even though you may have all these things, different platforms and all these different things, it all has to match. It has to be identical to really work. To optimize it, if you will, and that's what our platform does for you too. It helps us optimize. We can't control your website if you're not doing the website with us,
right?
But it's your job to make sure that whatever you're doing and making sure that all your local SEO stuff is matching to your website piece as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Because what happens is this falls into the content, authority, and trust columns. I live by. And that authority piece and that trust piece both pull off of consistent information. So if the search engine sees any slight error sometimes it can figure out that avenue spelled out means the same thing as av, because the technology has gotten smarter. But really, in general sense, you don't want to take that chance. Technology, it fails all the time. Right. When you try to deal with 300 networks like we do, it's going to have some problems. Trust me, technology is not perfect, but it's one of those things. I don't want to ever have that search engine try to make a decision on its own and have a possible mistake. So when we go out to those,
yeah, but I think what you're saying is correct. I mean, when that search happens, they're going to look for best connection. So if it's identical, that's the best scenario. They may be able to say what you were saying about the avenue and av, however, it's going to extrapolate that information out, if you will, and say, this is my best fit. But if it's identical, then it doesn't have to do that thinking. It goes best match. Do you agree with that?
Okay. I agree. And it's one of those things, you're going to see that a lot more. So there's the new AI technology that's coming out. Google just released a bunch of their AI stuff. ChatGPT 5 is going to be coming out in probably about a month and a half from what I'm seeing. So all that's going to pull that information. So having that structured data and having a lot of content on your website that's quality content, is going to be what's going to attract for the AI SEO to come in and be able to do your website. That's how you're going to start building backlinks naturally. That's how you're going to build your keywords naturally, because it's all about that natural language and quality. Right. And so it's going to start building that all out. But the whole Chat GPT 5 is going to be amazing, and it's going to change Bing search in a lot of ways, because Bing is now relying on the actual search there from ChatGPT. That's how its whole algorithm is now starting to operate. I see Google moving to that as well, which means it's going to get smarter. Scammers are going to have a lot harder time being able to manipulate the system, because the system's able to manipulate them faster than ever before.
So the AI is going to be smarter than the scammers.
Yep.
If you will, but they'll use AI to help them scam better. So it gives me that circle. It's that circle of life in the world. I mean,
the scary thing about scammers, what's going to be coming out, Dean, and for all those voice calls. So as a business owner, you're getting phone calls of your Google business listing is not correct, or it's not there. You're getting calls, hey, you're not being found on Google Voice. You're getting calls, hey, I can give you a loan on this or that. And you're getting all these scam calls. And it used to be where you could tell that it was a robocall. But now with AI voice and all the stuff that's coming out with that, you're not going to be able to really tell the difference between a human and a computer. And the scammers that are over in other countries are going to have a lot easier time manipulating and making it sound like an actual human on the phone.
Right. Well, they'll be able to emulate the voice of or accent of any country that they call. I mean,
correct.
So because the AI is going to get smarter, that's exciting and scary all at the same time.
It's scary at the same time. I mean, I got asked for a piece of software that we use for recording. If I wanted to go pay for like $1,500 to go into a studio, have myself digitalized so I can just put a script in, it'll sound like me, look like me, and feel like me. And I'm like, that just scares the living shit out of me.
I know. And so we get into whole other things about security and all that stuff. That's a whole nother animal.
It is.
We don't even want to go down there right now. But so the bottom line is schema is important for businesses to be found. They really, what you see on the front end isn't necessarily schema. It's all on the back end. They're going to have to talk to their web people, or if they're doing their own website, they're going to
have some tech skills.
Right. Or have some tech skills themselves. And then we've got some members that have better tech skills than I do by far. And they talk to me about things. I go, no, talk to Rob, because you just went way over my pay grade. Because
I want to see something real quick.
But while you're doing that, I'm going to just keep rambling a little bit. But so they talk about voice ready, but for mobile devices. Schema doesn't affect that. That's a whole different process for mobile readiness for their website. That's not part of the schema process, correct?
So hear that one more time. Sorry, I was looking to see what Google had.
Sorry about that. No, because the other thing that they're hearing out there besides schema is making sure their websites are mobile ready.
Yep.
Is that part of the schema process, or is that a whole different
animal?
Okay,
so if you're going to test your website, if you want to test your own website, if you have Google Chrome installed on your computer, you can download an extension that's called Lighthouse. It's from Google. So if you go to Lighthouse, if you just Google Lighthouse, it'll show you what it is, walk you through all the steps to be able to do it. And that'll actually tell you how your website is performing. It's going to tell you the rating. It's going to tell you your SEO score. It's going to tell you a lot of information for how Google's algorithm sees it. Just like for schema, I looked it up to make sure it was still there, because I used it all the time on a code aspect, but I never use it on what I call a WYSIWYG, which is kind of just a user interface that anybody should be able to understand, according to developers. But if you go to schema.org, which is ran by Google, I believe, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a Google product. It'll, for one, tell you all kinds of different schema that you can use. But if you go to validator.schema.org, you can actually check your website and see the structured data. Now, that takes a little bit of tech skill to know if it's right or if it's wrong. But, I mean, I recommend taking a look at it and running it through.
Right. But if people want to take the time to study it, they can figure it out, basically, is what you're saying. if they have some skills at all. Okay. But so what's happening though is so the reason why I bring up the mobile ready as well is I think people are combining the two thought processes together, and we need to make sure that they understand it's two different items. Is that so?
It is. There's multiple different structures that is in there. I'm gonna try to add my screen real quick. One sec.
Well, I see you're trying. I see you thinking there.
So I'm gonna pick on your company.
Oh no, let's not go there.
We need to redo your website because it's kind of like that.
After the latest security issues we've had, we need to go through and do that. So,
so this right here is code. You can see that this is done by Rank Math. So that's all code based. But if you look over here, notice how it has a headline right here. This is all schema. This is what it picks up. So has a heading, has a description.
I wish I could see your mouse a little better. So you're on the right side of there. Okay. So you make keywords now, date published, that kind of thing. So that's where you're at.
This is all markup language of what. Notice how right here you have the address and everything. That's because it's being picked up. So when you validate it, you know what information is being picked up from the website and what information should be there. But I mean, that is all technically schema in the back end.
Gotcha.
Notice how the address is in there multiple times. There's a lot of different stuff that's inside of there and that runs it, but that is schema. That is technically what schema is on the back end, and it's all being pulled from code.
All right. So, all right. Well, I think you've overwhelmed me a little bit, but it doesn't scare me. But I just want to make sure that I'm responding to our members in a way that's it's accurate, because I don't want to, that's the biggest thing is there's so much information out there and it's not being directed. I mean, there's opinions. I mean, you can go to YouTube. There's all these opinions. Some of them are good, some are bad. I mean, it's whatever you want to put out there. And so, who's right or wrong is based on who's got the more opinions. That isn't always true, but we have more opinions about this than you do, so we're obviously right, kind of thing. And that isn't always true. So there's so much data and information out there. It takes time, and that's why we have these talks, is so we can try to, one, it's our opinion, but it's actually pretty factual. I mean, it's not. I mean, what's going on? So that's the biggest thing is, we got to make sure people are aware and are asking good questions, and that's what these talks that we have are.
Correct. I agree 100%. And don't make it complicated. Most of the plugins make it super simple. If you are used to working in your back end, most of the stuff. So GoDaddy's website builder has it inside of it. Wix has different stuff that's inside of there. But if you want that custom code, it is a coaching piece. We can coach you on how to get that inserted. We'll even tell you how to do it instead of most of the builders out there if you have it. And we'll do a check and make sure it's good. I think that's where marketing coaching really comes into it as well, Dean, and making some of this really simple. Right. And we did put chat on the page. We're going to test that and see how well it does for members to where they can get coaching if they are on that coaching plan.
Right.
Inside the chat.
Yeah, and the big thing is when our staff is on, they'll be able to talk to somebody live. There'll be times when we don't cover 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that
I had someone try to chat us at 11 o'clock last night, and I was already in bed. That's past my bedtime.
Well, why were you even paying attention, or did you notice that this morning?
I noticed it this morning.
Okay, I gotcha. But you know what? Small business owners, when their brain turns on, you and I have done that. We wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, our brains are on. Boom. Okay, let's go work for a while because I'm not going to sleep anyway. And that's why some of these things happen. But unfortunately, we're not always on staff. And even if we are on staff, we may not respond because we don't want to, get into that mode at this point in time.
We only have 5 coaches.
Right.
And it's all 5 of those are what do support. And you and I are 2 of them.
Right. But here's the problem. Everybody goes, why do you only have 5? I said, because we're experts at this, and that's why we only have the 5 coaches right now. And we're in the process of bringing one up to speed to a little better because she's still not quite ready to talk all the time, but there's certain things she is capable of doing, and that's part of the process. But the problem, we're not going to throw 50 people out there and then you got to get some canned responses. I mean, so that's why I want to make sure that when I'm talking, I'm knowledgeable about schema and I'm giving right information. And when they ask questions, hopefully I get them going down the right path. But then that's why we have the other, we have everybody has their specialties, and yours is more technically oriented. So that's why we want to talk about things with you about this so that we can do this correctly. So,
well, and all of us, so when you look at all 5 of our coaches, everybody has a very different background, but everybody has been somewhat involved in the marketing side, or they've been involved in business, or the combination of the two, or they have high customer service area to where this is something that's brand new to them and they're looking at it from brand new eyes, which I think brings somebody to be able to really talk about things right. And that they start off as a marketing assistant with us, but it's one of those things to where it makes it really super nice to be able to get a hold of one of the owners. I hear that all the time, to where, hey, I could talk to a co-founder. Nobody's a number. We realize who everybody is. We had somebody sign up for the platform that was one of our very first members, if not the first member. He rejoined us because at the very beginning, we weren't very good. We didn't have our shit figured out. We had a lot to learn. We still have a lot to learn. But I mean, that's one of those things to where we listen to that member feedback and we build it from there.
Right. But the problem is we're learning. I mean, things change. We're learning. And so we're not going to be perfect all the time. And we understand that. But we're, if you have a question or a problem and you get Rob or I on the phone, that's how many places do you actually get that? But we're also small business owners. We get you a lot differently than some of the people that are just agencies that are out. I shouldn't say agencies, some of the bigger corporations that are out there, because their staff is a little different. I shouldn't pick on agencies because there's some great agencies out there. So I got to be careful.
We have a lot of agencies that work with us.
They
come to us, they use the platform because they can manage. Some of them aren't even paying us because they're on the free plan, as they can manage all their Google profiles from one spot.
Right. And I know that we started a whole thing, but let's end on this one right now. We had one that's in Vegas, if I remember right, and they started out with all free plans, and they went, oh, these people need a little more push, so they signed them up as a listings plan. And they may keep them there. And I've seen them where they've turned them off and then assign that license to somebody else. That isn't what we want people to do. We want people to get as much benefit out of it as they can. But that's the beauty of our, and what do they have? Like 100 locations or so? Something like that. I'm trying to remember now.
I think so. Then we have one that has almost 1,000 locations just in itself. They're using
I clicked on their backside and I went, oh my God, look at that. I mean, that's awesome that they're helping that many people. So, so agencies come on with us too. If you've stayed long enough to watch us, we have
franchises that are using it, but here's what I want to end on today, Dean.
Okay.
And tell me if you agree or if you disagree on this, but there is 1,000 different ways to do your marketing. There's 1,000 different ways to be able to, there's more than that, but to be able to get your business found by more local customers. There's 1,000 ways to be able to go get sales. There's 1,000 ways to be able to do all that. We think we have a special sauce. We think ours is the best because it's been proven. We follow all of our blueprints that have been used by myself and my agencies for years, but there's 1,000 different ways to be able to do it. So make sure you do your research, make sure you look at it and really figure out what's best for your business.
Right. And I agree with you 100%. And let's talk about your blueprints real quick, and then I'm done. Your blueprints.
All right, we can talk blueprints.
Or schematics, whatever.
Let's go. What do you want to know about my blueprints?
Oh, no, but they're changing. They're evolving. I mean, we have that core information.
Oh, yeah. Because I look at the structured data. I make decisions based on that data.
Right. And I just want people to know we're not static. We are a dynamic company because we are always reading. In fact, you just found something from Google, which I found really interesting. And I hadn't seen the article yet about 1 in 5 searches, according to Google now, is voice search. So now that changed. How does that change our blueprint? We don't know yet, but we know that things are going to change because now the data's shifting. So that's what we do. You don't have to, as a member, we don't expect you to have to keep up with that. That's our job. That's what you pay us for. So I'm going to end on that. And I want to thank you.
Visually, we haven't made a big change. So visually inside of the platform, we haven't made a change for a long time.
Right.
The general look for how things are. We've added a few things, but on our backside, we're doing probably about 35 to 40 changes a day to be able to make things work better, smoother, and to be able to get you out there. So we're active in developing this, and we are going to make it to where this is just a machine that just works really, really well. We already do. Most members we talk to, that I talk to, see a 10 to 20% increase in sales on average. Right. I've heard bigger numbers, but I don't know what their sales were before. If you're making $10 and now you're making $1,000, man, you're doing pretty good. But I mean, it all depends on what your perspective is. I never ask, well, how much was in your bank account before? Now what's it at?
I think, a lot of it depends on your profit margins. I mean, every business is a little different. I mean, if you're only making $5 for every customer contact, you need to have a lot of growth. But if you're making $5,000 for every customer contact, it's different. So that's why when people start throwing out statistics and analytics and all that fun stuff, it depends. I mean, it depends on your market size, it depends on your profit margin. I mean, and like you said, there's that, and that's why there's thousands of ways of approaching the marketing and advertising side, because everybody's a little different, So so let's end on that, Rob. Anything else you want to say this morning? Because I'm about talked out and I need some more coffee.
You need some more coffee. You have a conference you're going to as well, a digital conference today. So good luck at that.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna go spend time with the girls. They're upstairs on tablets right now, so I'm gonna go spend some time with them because my wife works today. So I'm gonna go out and work in the garden and just have some fun in a down day.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to doing a little groundwork myself. So, all right, sir.
Perfect. Have a great day, guys, and a happy weekend. And to all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I better don't let me forget that, because I might not be I may not be here on Monday if I screw that one up.
It's funny. My wife showed up yesterday. She goes last night. She goes, "This is what I want for Mother's Day," but ask her for. She goes, "This is what I want." I was like, all right, well, I ordered it. And I'm like, well, it's not going to be here till Monday. You waited.
In our family, we're very utilitarian or whatever you want to say. And we do things so we're going to do a Cajun boil. So I get to go out and find, I think I've got everything I need. I got lobster yesterday for it, but we're excited. We're excited about doing it. Hopefully the weather stays nice and cooperates. But anyway, Happy Mother's Day to everybody, and we'll quit babbling, and you guys have a good day. Take care.
Have a great Saturday. See you guys.